Hello everyone, what's going on? My name is Deirdre. Welcome back to my channel. So first of all, I never really planned to make videos in my kitchen, but I did just move into a new apartment, and not only is the lighting sensational here, but the rest of my room and everything is just not set up yet. So that is why we're in the kitchen. If you are new to the channel, I did just recently make a video on why I am no longer going to law school. So definitely go ahead and check that out if you are interested in that. I do talk a little bit more about my reasoning behind switching into medicine versus law. But today I wanted to talk all about medicine versus law. I have not seen any videos on this, and I know that it's super relevant. I know that I'm not the only person that probably wanted to go to law school and now I'm deciding to go into medicine. And I know that there's probably people that are originally wanted to go into medicine and now they're going to law. So I thought that I would do a pro and con, compare and contrast of the two, and talk about things that ultimately helped me to make and solidify my decision. If you are new here, I did finish undergrad at UC San Diego last year. I got my bachelor's in political science. I majored in poli-sci, I minored in global health. And at the end of my senior year, because I got so much legal experience and so much medical global health experience, I was really able to compare and contrast the two. And I had realized, I think I want to go into medicine. I think I really want to pursue my minor more than I do my major. And I didn't expect to do this at all. I picked up my global health minor because I wanted to make my law school application stand out. And I've always been really interested in global health, global inequalities, and especially in the medical and legal system. These two things have always been really interesting to me. So that is why I did pick up the global health minor, and I did not expect ever to be going down the path that I am now going down. I will be applying for a Master of Science program. I'll be eligible to apply next month, which is so exciting. I can't believe how fast the last year has gone by. But I will be applying for my Master of Science in Nursing. I'm going to be an FNP. I'm thinking of going into dermatology or surgery. Then I will also be applying to a couple of PA programs as well. I was not eligible to apply upon getting my bachelor's last year because I didn't have all the needed prereqs. So in the last 12 months, I have been finishing prerequisite courses: statistics, microbiology, anatomy with lab, physiology with the lab, chemistry. Also working as a certified nursing assistant. So I've had a lot of clinical nursing experience, and the more that I'm working in this clinical setting, I am realizing that I'm thinking about also applying to med school. I'm going to apply to nursing school and PA school because I am eligible to apply, but I'm definitely going to keep the door open for med school because I realize that I'm a very analytical person. I really love to know why disease happens, how it works, how can we cure it, what's the cause of it. So I think for me, being maybe a doctor or specializing in something that I find my interest in later down the road will be definitely beneficial for me. So this is where I am now. So I'm going to go ahead and start off and talk about the 5 things that really stood out to me. The first thing that I want to talk about is job security. We were taught that the law school that you get into is really going to help pave the path for which kind of job that you get, or the opportunity of job that you get. So what I mean by that is law school is obviously really competitive, and so is med school. But the competition for law school for pre-law majors is through the roof. You have to get an extremely high GPA, extremely high LSAT score, and have really great extracurricular activities to be able to get into a top law school. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Now, please don't think that I'm saying if you don't get into a top law school, you might as well give up. I'm just saying this is how we were taught, and the pressure was definitely there. My peers, including myself, I totally adopted the mentality that if I got an A-, I could just give up. And that is really toxic and really stressful. But the reason that stress is there, especially at UC San Diego, is because we know that if our stats aren't the highest of the high and we're competing with people who have really high stats, then we are going to lose our spot or our place for a top tier school. And so with that being said, if you don't get into a top tier school, you're not going to have the abundance of opportunity at your door versus someone who is getting into an Ivy or UC Berkeley or UCLA law schools, to be honest with you. And so something that I noticed is it doesn't really matter what school you get into. If you go into medicine, if you want to be an NP, if you want to be a PA, of course getting into a top tier school is really important for whatever you choose to pursue. However, the job abundance and job security is going to be there no matter what. I know a lot of people. I know someone who graduated from UCLA law school, and they graduated 2 years ago, and they still can't land a job. Now, please, again, don't think that I'm saying that people who are going to law school aren't going to get a job. That's absolutely not true at all. I'm just saying that the ease of getting a job in medicine versus law are completely different. So I think the security of being a new grad and landing a job in the medical field is a lot higher than it is the legal field. And for me, that is something that I liked a lot more, and that's something that really, really stood out to me. I would say that job security for the two careers is definitely different. The next thing that really stood out to me is the salary. So a lot of people think like if you're an attorney, you're automatically going to be making a good salary, and that's actually not true at all. It really, again, depends on what school you get into, but what type of law that you are going into. The legal salary can start anywhere from 60K to beyond 200K. And for me, I didn't really like the idea of having a starting salary of 60K. I'm not gonna lie, like I want my starting salary to be at least 100, if not 110K to start with. And so I didn't really like the fact that the starting salary was really dependent on a number of things aside from my degree. I just felt like that was really strange. Of course, if you're going into corporate law, you're gonna get a really amazing starting salary. But say you're not going into corporate law and you still did your work, you still, you know, entered, you got a job, you did all these great things, but the career and the field of law that you want to study isn't as high paying. Law school is really expensive, and it's like, how am I going to pay off? How am I going to pay back? How am I going to pay for law school if my starting salary isn't banging? So with medicine, it's definitely not the case. Of course, if you're a doctor, you're going to have an amazing starting salary. But if you're an NP or a PA, your starting salary is anywhere from 120K and above, depending, of course, what school you went into, what opportunities you got, and where you started working beyond grad. But again, I really like that the baseline for this career choice is above 100K, which to me is really important. And I know for everyone that's not like something that people care about, but for me, if I'm getting a master's, we're not going below 100K, point blank, period. Salary is definitely black and white, and there is a huge misconception that attorneys are making hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s, and yes, as a lot of them are, a lot of them aren't. And I definitely think that that's something that needs to be talked about more. I have interviewed and interned with a lot of attorneys who weren't, their starting salary was trash. And you could, you know, I recommend if you're someone who's trying to figure out if law school is for you, meet with an attorney, talk with an attorney who has nothing but positive things to say, and maybe someone who doesn't have as positive things to say, because you really, really want to get a different perspective for the field that you're choosing to go down. I have talked to so many attorneys, so many different attorneys, and ultimately, you know, salary wasn't the deciding factor for me. But I did hear from a lot of them, it was very, very, very like consistent that the starting salary for a new grad lawyer or someone who just graduated law school wasn't always the best. And again, that's not going to be the case for every new grad, every, you know, pre-law student, but it is something that is on the average more than it isn't. The next thing that really stood out to me and really helped me to decide that I wanted to go into medicine as opposed to law is the relevancy of the job. So I'm gonna give you a little analogy. This might sound weird, and I'm just like, why does my mind go to these things? But I really did think about this. Say I was stranded on an island, okay? Like, have you ever heard these things? They're like, someone's stranded on the boat and you have to get rid of one person. So if you're stranded on an island and you have the attorney and you have a doctor or medical professional, they're gonna get rid of the attorney. And I'm not saying anything negative about being an attorney, but I am saying that the point I'm bringing up with this is that medicine is relevant no matter where you are in the world, and law is really relevant to where your legal license allows you to practice. And say I go to California, I live in California, I know all these laws and you know how to use my legal license, and then I go somewhere else like Missouri or New Zealand and all the laws are completely different, and I have to retake my bar exam and study and really understand, you know, the legalities in each place and how it's different. To me, I really like that with medicine, you're using the disease model, the human body, you're diagnosing, you're understanding symptoms, you are able to look at this and know that this is what caused it, and that is pretty standard no matter where you go in the world. The other thing too about law is it's like laws are always changing, and of course medicine is changing, medical terminology, medical technology, but my political science degree may not be as relevant in 20 years as it is today. And of course, with medicine, the medical model of as it is changing, it is growing, it is expanding, the base of your degree and the relevancy of it can be practiced almost anywhere that you go in the world, which I think is really cool. And another thing with relevancy is it's really relevant to my body. Understanding and learning how the body that I'm living in works and functions, I think is so cool. And it's kind of crazy if you think about it. So many of us are living inside this body and we have absolutely no idea how it works, why it works, what any of it does. And I think it's really cool, and you have such a privilege to be able to understand that what is going on inside of you. The next thing I want to talk about is work-life balance. So for me, I don't like working a 9 to 5. I have not had a conventional 9 to 5 job in like 4 years now because I just don't like 9 to 5 jobs. As an attorney, typically you are working 9 to 5. I'm not saying that this is standard with all attorneys, but the work-life balance can be really hard because sometimes you're taking your work home with you, you're working overtime, you're in the office a lot. Now you could be the kind of attorney who just does straight litigation and you're more in the court a lot. At the end of the day, you're typically working on a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 schedule, which can be great if you like that, but for me, I personally just don't like that. When you go into the medical field, it's going to be a lot different. Typically as a nurse, you are working 3/12, so you have 3 days in a row where you're working 12-hour shifts and then you have 4 days off, and I really like the work-life balance with that. I currently work as a certified nursing assistant. I work from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I have absolutely amazing work-life balance because I get off at 2, I can go to the beach, I can go study, I can go chill by the pool, I can do whatever I want, and I work only 4 days a week and then I have 2 days off. So I really like that. I really think that the work-life balance is there. Now don't get me wrong, of course if you're a doctor, of course if you're going into a really demanding healthcare field, you can have a crazy overtime, crazy hours. I know a lot of surgeons who are working absolutely around the clock. You go home, you're on call, there's a medical emergency, you have to go back to the hospital. Being a doctor, like, hospital is life, and so I definitely think that the work-life balance can be very stressful. But for me, thinking about going into PA school or NP school, I just felt like the work-life balance was something that really called to me, and something that I don't think that I could have got if I went into law school. The last thing that I want to talk about is the people connection. So I am a huge people person. Like, I love people, I love connecting with people, I love talking to people, I love working with people. And I was really stoked to go into the legal field, and I really wanted to go into litigation so I could talk, so I could meet other people, I could work on cases. But when I got clinical and medical experience, when I volunteered in the hospital, I found that the connections that I had with people in the hospital were so much more meaningful, and the impact that I was making just through small things was so much more meaningful than the impact that I had found myself having in the legal field. And again, I'm not saying that if you go in the legal field, you're not gonna have a people connection. And a lot of people go in the legal field because they don't wanna talk to people. For me, I just felt that in the medical setting, I definitely had so much more of a connection with people than I did in a legal setting. And the cool thing is, like, every day is changing in the medical field. You can go in one day and the next day is completely different. You could have 1 hour at 10 a.m. where it's calm, and then 11 a.m. all hell breaks loose. And I really like to be on my feet. I really love to be constantly engaged in my mind and my body, because for me, that is just when I feel most present. And I've definitely found that in the healthcare setting, in the healthcare system, I find more connection and more engagement, which is ultimately more rewarding for me through going into medicine. So basically, these are the top 5 reasons that I have decided to pursue medicine over law. And again, I said it throughout the video, I said it in the beginning of the video, I don't want to offend anyone, and I don't want anyone to watch this video and think that everything that I said for an attorney or even someone who goes into doctor, PA, NP is black and white, because it's not. But everything that I'm talking about, I'm taking it from the average or the base of the job, and things will change depending on what you specialize, you know, what school you go, what state that you work in, what country you live. So there's a lot of different factors to take into it. But at the end of the day, I just found my study with medicine and health and the disease model to be so much more rewarding for me than it was for the legal system. And I still totally respect the legal system. I still totally love everything that I studied as an undergrad, and I'm still super glad that I did get my major in poli-sci and my minor in global health. But I'm also really excited to pursue this new path and go down and, you know, further continue my understanding and my knowledge in medicine. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there. If you did find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this.